What's up, everybody? This is Conscience and Professor Mike, the Punk Rock
What's up,
Poetry
man? What's
Podcast and the Digital Academy. Thank you for tuning in. We got a
man.
podcast for you today about aliens. Me and Mike are both interested about aliens.
Yeah, buddy. I hope that music sounded okay. We're just kind of playing with some new stuff. We got a little soundboard app going today, so we're gonna, I'm gonna try to use it sparingly and not be overuse it. But today's episode, we're gonna be talking about aliens, man.
We're talking about aliens, man.
So let's do this. Okay, so you see this, Wilkes?
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Rogan's Instagram page.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show this real quick to show this. Okay, so this is what the big article that's been going around is that Rogan posted, and so did tons of other people I noticed. So Pentagon on UFOs, they're off-world vehicles not made of this earth, which is quite a saying. That's quite a sentence. Quite a sentence.
Oh, that's
especially when it starts with the Pentagon on UFOs.
Yeah.
So here's the article that he's referring to there, and I wanted to go through it. But first, let's look at the footage. Have you seen this?
No, I have not seen the footage.
Okay.
Is this the old footage that came out in like 2016?
This is this is the footage. So what's kind of interesting and important to note is that all this kind of current buzz about aliens has been, or not necessarily even aliens, this is a point I want to get to at some point, but about UFOs is stuff that's been in the last couple days. But it's just that the department or the Pentagon is basically saying that it's official, right? They're saying that it's real footage, but the footage is from 2004.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to show you the footage, man, right here.
Okay.
You hear it?
Yeah.
In 2015.
Wow. Yeah, I thought there was something around.
I said 2004, but you're seeing this through the gunner's camera.
Yeah.
Boom, they locked it right there. Like the guns locked it, right?
Yeah.
The Department of Defense said they released the video to clear up any
misconceptions.
The Department of Defense is releasing the videos in order to clear up any misconceptions by the public on behalf of whether the footage is real or not.
Huh.
I didn't get to the end of that, but that's basically what it said.
That's crazy. So that was through, what'd you say, like a gunner's camera?
Yeah. The clip's been circulating, but hadn't been acknowledged by the Navy until now. Oops.
Okay.
Didn't mean to do that part. Okay, so now let's start looking at this. Let's look at this article. So are you seeing the article now, Luke?
Yeah, you want me to read it?
Yeah, why don't you read it, man? And I'll just jump in a few points.
Okay, Pentagon on UFOs. They are off-road vehicles not made on this earth. The New York Times reports classified Pentagon hearings on crashed recovered UFOs, off-road vehicles not made on this earth. It has been forever since UFOs have been talked about and constantly battled against, being called conspiracy theories, but there has been more and more information released in the last couple of years. Remember, it was only last month that a classified briefing on UFOs left senators disturbed afterwards. Tucker Carlson, The Pentagon has been conducting classified hearings on UFOs for more than a decade. We know very little about what they found, but apparently just recovered are off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. That's a direct quote.
Okay, so just stop for 1 sec. So that's obviously insane ramifications of that sentence being true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like the
Well,
not
it's
on this
official.
Earth.
It's official, man.
What's
The
official?
Pentagon, classified hearings on UFOs for more than a decade. We know very little about what they found, but apparently they just recovered off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. That's a direct quote, it says. This is legit.
Well,
Do you not fully agree that this is legit?
I have no idea what the I don't know, man. This is like interesting beyond interesting. I think though, my head's spinning around what off-world means because it could mean aliens. Obviously, that's the obvious one.
Well, what else would it mean?
I don't know, because if we're all of a sudden in the realm of considering that is true, you would have to be also like considering the possibility of time warp manipulation. Maybe it's humans from the future.
Like, are you saying for
manipulated
the length
past
from
off-world?
The length of the travel? Maybe they're time warping here. Because if they're building vehicles, they're obviously intelligent. I mean, Neanderthals didn't build vehicles.
Now, here's another insane part. What does just recovered mean? So
just recovered, yeah.
So I'm going to show you a video that's going to
apparently just recovered are off-world vehicles not made on this Earth.
Just recovered.
Just
what does
recovered.
That mean? So does that mean
is there
crash?
do you have any footage about that? Is there any videos about it?
Yeah, man, we're going to end with that. Okay.
So stick around, whoever's watching.
Stick around. There's a teaser. No, that's going to be the Bob Lazar part. That's why Bob Lazar video part is on.
Bob Lazar coming up.
That's going to be
on the Punk Rock Poetry Podcast.
A little bit of his time on the Rogan show. Do you want to keep going, man?
Yeah. But the latest news is coming from the New York Times. In an article titled "No Longer in Shadows, Pentagon's UFO unit will make some findings public," saying that a Pentagon unit tasked to UFO sightings and their findings are out of this world. Tucker Carlson broke it down, saying the New York Times report about recovered UFOs are off-the-world vehicles not made on this Earth. A direct quote from the New York Times, says Carlson.
So, Wilk. Sorry, man. Can I say something here? So, what's interesting is, like, this is Tucker Carlson quoting the New York Times, right? New York Times, obviously quite left. Tucker Carlson, obviously quite right. So, it's kind of interesting because this is kind of cutting across the common political argue points on everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's just an interesting thing to note here is,
have they found some common ground? The right and left. What better thing to bring two parties together than frickin' aliens?
Well, that's like the specific plot of Independence Day, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? We're heading into Independence Day. That's exactly it. Oh man, that's classic.
But anyways, man, that's like, I don't know if I don't know if we were gonna have like a feel good fight with aliens. I think that's probably not gonna be how this would ever work out.
Feel good fight.
Yeah,
I love fighting you.
All right, buddy. The New York Times reports.
Despite Pentagon statements that in a disbanded and once covert program to investigate unidentified flying objects, the efforts remain underway.
Okay, stop for a sec, man, because we got to just break this down.
Yeah.
Despite Pentagon statements that it disbanded
a once covert program.
Covert. Okay, so it's saying it's a black ops. It's like a black budget covert, meaning not acknowledged program to investigate. So this is basically them admitting that they were investigating UFOs, which is the Project Blue Book stuff. Despite Pentagon statements that it disbanded a once covert program to investigate flying objects. And I delayed reading this just to do this with you, man. That's a crazy start to that sentence.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because that's acknowledging that they actually were studying. They were.
And secretly too.
Yeah.
The effort remains underway. Yeah.
Keep going, bud.
Renamed and tucked inside the Office of the Naval Intelligence, where
Naval
officials,
intelligence.
yeah, naval
That's
intelligence,
interesting. The Office
where
of Naval
officials continue to
Intelligence.
study mystifying encounters between military pilots and unidentified aerial vehicles.
Yeah. So now one of the terms you'll hear people use, like we grew up in the 80s and 90s and it was always UFOs. Now you hear people say UAVs, like an
Yeah, UAVs,
unidentified aerial
unidentified
vehicle.
aerial vehicles. Yeah.
Because I think what a point that we got to get to at some point is we can't assume that it's, if there is, okay, so here's a weird way of saying it, but if there's craft that are entering US airspace, let's say it that way, that are actual real things, I think you can't discount the fact that it could be other human government powers. Like it could be the Chinese, it could be the Russians, right? Like
Yeah.
it could be advanced technology that other people have that we don't know about. And I think we can't immediately discount that because that would definitely.
Then why are they? Then why are they saying that it wasn't made on this earth? How do they know that? What kind of proof do they have that it wasn't made on this earth by another country?
Yeah.
Is there any?
Yeah, like I don't know. I think the Pentagon, like you would think that if anyone had it, it would be the States. You have to ask yourself with all of this though, like why is the Pentagon saying anything about anything? Right? Like
Yeah,
it's
no
not like
doubt.
they needed to say any of this. And I know there's been pressure put on them, but I think, this is incredibly interesting, but I'm trying not to bite hook, line, and sinker because like part of me that loves the aliens in general just wants to like believe all of this immediately. But this is definitely the most strong evidence you would ever have, and it makes people that are traditionally considered conspiracy theorists seem much less crazy,
Right.
for sure. So this idea, of unidentified aerial vehicles. So sorry,
Pentagon officials will not discuss the program, which is not classified but deals with classified matters. Yet it appeared last month in a Senate committee report outlining spending on the nation's intelligence agencies for the coming year. The report said the program, the Identified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force,
Okay, stop for a second. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. That should be your next mixtape's title, man.
Yeah.
That is wicked. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Imagine if you run into like an old buddy, they're like, "Hey man, what do you do?" Oh, nothing, man. I just work for the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, bud.
To standardize collection and reporting on sightings of the unexplained aerial vehicles, and was to report the least some of its findings to the public every 6 months. The article, which you can read in its entirety here, adds, for more than a decade, the Pentagon program has been conducting classified briefings for congressional committees, aerospace company executives, and other government officials, according to the interviews with program participants and unclassified briefing documents. Wow.
Is this the bottom of the page? Do you want to go to this? So this is saying it's like this. I haven't pre-opened this, but all right, let's do it, man. Right straight to it.
So this is a new article?
Yep. So one sec. I'm going to close the two tabs you already did. Yeah, let's do this one, and then we'll do
Can you get rid of that?
New York. Yeah, I can. I figured a way around this. Sorry, can you see everything I'm doing? Probably. But,
yeah, I can. I even saw you closing the pages.
Let's see here. Oh, I got that on.
I don't know what you're doing.
Sorry, man. This is what I meant to do. Just read. There we go.
There we go.
Did that work okay?
Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, man. Go for it.
No longer in shadows, Pentagon's UFO unit will make some findings public. Despite Pentagon statements that it's disbanded at once covert program to investigate unidentified flying objects, the effort remains underway, renamed and tucked inside the Office of the Naval Intelligence, where officials continue to study mystifying encounters between military pilots and unidentified aerial vehicles.
That paragraph is insane.
UAVs. That's insane.
That's an insane paragraph. I can't get over that.
I know.
To invest disband
covert program, renamed Naval Intelligence.
Yeah, I haven't heard a ton about the Office of Naval Intelligence. Yeah, to study mystifying.
They use the words mystifying. Can you believe that?
Yeah, this is pretty nuts. Like, I haven't really even heard about the Office of Naval Intelligence, to be honest, except in that Project Blue Book TV show that is kind of about this stuff. It's kind of like an X-Files style show. It's pretty cool. Right. Okay, go ahead, Pentagon officials.
Pentagon officials will not discuss the program, which is not classified but deals with classified matters. Yet it appeared last month in a Senate committee report outlining spending on the nation's intelligence agencies for the coming year. The report said the program, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, which is wicked.
Wait a sec, man. Sorry, bro.
Such a wicked
name. Insane. But look at this. It appeared in last month's Senate committee report.
Yeah, Senate committee.
On the nation's intelligence spending. So they had to submit basically like on the budget.
Yeah.
They had budgeted money for it in this, and it's in a Senate report. That's a pretty hard piece of evidence.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, sorry. The report of the program said?
The report said the program, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, was to standardize collection and reporting on sightings of unexplained aerial vehicles, and was to report at least some of its findings to the public within 180 days after the passage of the Intelligence Authorization Act. While retired officials involved with the effort, including Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader, hope the program will seek evidence of vehicles from other worlds. Its main focus is on discovering whether another nation, especially any potential adversary, is using breakout aviation technology that could threaten the United States.
Exactly. That's the piece that I was worrying about, that whether another nation, I'll just read what this says again, whether another nation, especially a potential adversary, is using breakout aviation technology that could threaten the U.S., right? Because it's almost more scary if it's not a UFO in a weird way. Because it's because what they're saying with this stuff, we'll get into it in a sec with this video, but what they're saying is it's actually actively blocking. So it's not a passive object. That actually was blocking their radar. And now if you're like, say you were a Chinese fighter jet flying over the continental United States, scrambling their radar, that would be considered an act of war.
Yeah. So
it's incredibly, and it's probably a drone, right? It's probably not a piloted craft.
No, it's probably not manned. I wouldn't imagine there's a human operating it, because if they're doing turns and speeds and direction changes like that.
So here's a crazy idea, Wilk, that I watched a video about, and that I can't explain the physics, but I think I can explain the basic concept. So what it was saying is it might not be a craft that is propelled by like fuel, like a rocket propelled. It might actually manipulate gravity so that it like manipulates the space here so there's no inertia and it like falls there. And that's why it's like instantly there. Right. There's no inertia. There's no pushback.
There's no force against.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like this is
space.
That's basically a sci-fi movie concept, right?
Yeah, dude.
Like I'm sure Star Trek's done something about that.
But it's in the news. Like what? This is the New York Times.
Including Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wanted to make a joke. Remember when I was like saying before, if you met someone at a party and said you work for the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force,
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what does that do? Oh, we just standardize the collection and reporting of on-site unexpected aerial phenomenal vehicles. And then we report it to the findings to the public within 180 days of the passage of the Intelligence Authorization Act.
Yeah.
Man, that's, oh my God. It's like X-Files.
It's X-Files.
Yeah, it's
That
Fox
is
Mulder.
X-Files.
This is Fox Mulder.
It's Fox Mulder and Scully.
Scully's
for sure.
just doing backflips right now, freaking, because she didn't think it was real.
They should redo that show. Senator Marco Rubio,
yeah.
the Florida Republican who was the acting chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, told the CBS affiliate in Miami this month that he was primarily concerned about reports of unidentified aircraft over American military bases, and that it was the government's interest to find out who was responsible.
Yeah, no, it's in the government's interest to find out who's responsible. Yeah, I'd say.
I'd say so.
I'd say, man.
Crazy.
Oh,
he expressed concerns that China or Russia or some other adversary had made some technological leap that allows them to conduct this sort of activity. That's what I'm worried about. Mr. Rubio said some of the unidentified aerial vehicles over U.S. bases possibly exhibited technologies not in the American arsenal, but he also noted maybe there is a completely sort of boring explanation for it, but we need to find out. We need to find out. Crazy. In 2017, the New York Times disclosed the existence of a predecessor unit called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
ATIP. That's another. So, yeah, man, I just know that from a different
That's another wicked name.
Hey, so Wilk, where have you been working? Oh, just the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program? It's like, man, you sound like a sniper in space.
I don't even know what
Advanced Aerospace, so Advanced Threat Identification Program. Threat.
Dude, that's...
Man, you're Mulder.
That's Will Smith. No, that's Will Smith.
That's Will Smith in Men in Black. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Men in Black, Independence Day.
A combo of those movies.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man.
That's nuts.
Maybe this is predetermined in some
way.
Man,
jump into that second part of that paragraph. It's nuts where it says Defense Department officials.
Defense Department officials said at the time that the unit and its $22 million in funding had lapsed over 2012.
Yeah.
$22 million in funding.
Yep. So that's
probably a lot of people. People working with the program, however, said it was still in the operation in 2017 and beyond. Statements later confirmed by the Defense Department.
Sorry, hang on. Where did we even get? So this is unknown. Oh no, this is NewYorkTimes.com.
This is New York Times.
This is was linked from the other article. Unknown author. This is in their back
I wonder
pages.
why it's an unknown.
That's
author.
weird. It's look at the code of where this is very interesting. NewYorkTimes.com.
Who's Harry Reid?
So Harry Reid was that senator guy.
Oh right.
It said sorry, I won't scroll through too much because here. Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader.
Former Senate Majority Leader.
So I think that was just maybe in the title or something. But yeah, Pentagon UFO, Harry Reid, Navy. Just looks like tags.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Okay, so I think we were at this part. The program began in 2007.
The program was begun in 2007 under the Defense Intelligence Agency and was then placed within the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, which remains responsible for its oversight. But its coordination with the intelligence community will be carried out by the Office of the Naval Intelligence. As described in the Senate budget bill, the program never lapsed in those years, but little was disclosed about the post-2017 operations.
Man. Yeah, sorry guys, I hit the to be continued button on my on my soundboard accidentally while grabbing my coffee.
You did that by accident.
Yeah, that was an accident, man.
Jam.
Yeah. Man. As described in the Senate budget bill. So before it didn't say, it said it more discreetly in the other article, but there it just said basically this got noticed and kind of proved by the fact that it's in the budget bill. Mm-hmm. The program never lapsed in those
in the Senate budget bill,
but little was disclosed. So this is the guy. There's been a show on like the History Channel or whatever called Undisclosed, where they're been talking about this kind of stuff for the last while, and it's been this guy. So do you want to keep going? I think we're near the bottom of this, and then we'll do the video.
The Pentagon's program's previous director, Luis Elizondo, a former military intelligence official who resigned in October 2017 after 10 years with the program, confirmed the new task force evolved from the Advanced Aerospace Program.
So now, the Pentagon's program's previous director, so he was the director of that ATIP, that Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Yeah.
This guy seems like a cool guy. I think he was on the Rogan show.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was.
Okay, I'll check that out. Mr. Elizondo.
Yeah, I think you're nailing the name, man.
Mr. Elizondo is among a small group of former government officials and scientists with security clearances who, without presenting physical proof, say they are convinced that objects of undetermined origin have crashed on Earth with materials retrieved for study. So they got materials retrieved for study.
So everybody's that's a UFO junkie and kind of like me, who's like always been interested in it since they were a kid, is instantly probably thinking of Roswell there, right? Because it's like saying that origins have crashed on Earth with material retrieved for study. Now, it might not be that though, but that is definitely the most famous, like the Roswell.
Well, and if it is another country, they've had the technology for a long time. If it's another country, but is that possible? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
In some cases, earthly.
Oh, sorry, man. One more. For more than a decade.
For more than a decade, the Pentagon program has been conducting classified briefings for congressional committees, aerospace company executives, and other government officials, according to the interviews with program participants and unclassified briefing documents. In some cases, earthly explanations have been found for previously unexplained incidents. Even lacking a plausible terrestrial explanation does not make an extraterrestrial one the most likely, astrophysicists say. Mr. Reed, the former...
We gotta do that one, man.
In some cases, earthly explanations have been found for previously unexplained incidents.
And that makes sense, right? You'd assume that'd be most of the time, right? Like the vast majority. But even
lacking a plausible terrestrial explanation does not make an extraterrestrial one the most likely. That's kind of where I am.
That's just a kind of another way of saying, like, it could be like the military of another country, right?
Some kind of breakthrough technology that's very secret.
Mm-hmm. Probably drone. Some kind
of
crazy drone.
Like moving very fast. Very fast.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Reed, the former Democratic senator from Nevada who pushed for funding the earlier UFO program when he was the majority leader, said he believed that crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred and that retrieved materials should be studied. Okay, so it's pretty solid that they got some UFOs.
Listen to the language of this. This is the New York Times. This Democratic senator from Nevada who pushed for funding the earlier UFO program. They're just calling it UFO program at this point in the article.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how, man, they're just using like all the keywords and everything. Like, it's
majority leader said he believed the crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred and that retrieved material should be studied.
Well, if there's retrieved material, of course it should be studied. That's a crazy thing to say.
After looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some were substantive, some not substantive, that were actual materials that the government and private sector had in their possession.
So they had it. There were actual materials that the government and private sector had in their possession.
What are these materials? Where are these materials? What are they? What is it? Is that released?
Let's just keep going. We got about the last third of the article here.
No crash artifacts have been publicly produced for independent verification. Some retrieved objects, such as unusual metallic fragments, were later identified from laboratory studies as man-made. Okay. Man-made.
right? So that would support the.
Some. It said some.
But see, I think the important thing in this video isn't necessarily is it aliens or not. It's like the U.S. government is basically admitting that there's aircraft over their space that they're not cool with and that they can't identify.
Yeah.
That is shocking, man. Right? Like it's the source and what it is and what the technology is and all that is like fascinating speculation, but I don't know who these guys are. These must just be the people.
Joe Bogowitz for the New York Times.
Yeah, that's who took the picture. I think it's this dude. I think it's Eric W. Davis.
Eric W. Davis, an astrophysicist who worked as a subcontractor and then a consultant for the Pentagon UFO program since 2007.
Like now they're just calling it the Pentagon UFO program as if it's nothing.
Nothing.
At first they were calling it like ATIP and then that other one that was awesome.
So now it's just Pentagon UFO program.
That was just the UFO program, man.
It's like we said some other names for it, but really what it is UFOs.
Exactly. It's like now they've had a beer or two and they're like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it.
F it, man. It was the UFO.
UFOs. Yeah.
Now they're just like, yeah, exactly. They're just
in some cases, examination of the materials has so far failed to determine their source and led them to conclude we couldn't make it ourselves.
Couldn't make it ourselves. Sorry,
That's still totally
crazy,
leaving it open to the fact that someone else could have made it.
Yeah, but this isn't like, not to pick on a country like, say,
Russia?
No, Russia's just like a country like, I don't know. This isn't like a small, non-military power country saying that they can't figure it out. Like if the States can't figure it out and do it, and their military spending dwarfs like the rest of the world combined, like maybe not combined, but like the amount of the U.S. military is dominating, and if they have no idea what it is, like I don't know why they would say that though. That's another thing that is weird about it.
Yeah. The constraints on discussing classified programs and the ambiguity of information cited in unclassified slides from the briefings have put officials who have studied UFOs in the position of stating their views without presenting any hard evidence. Mr. Davis, who now works for Aerospace Corporation, a defense contractor, said he gave a classified briefing to a Defense Department agency as recently as March about retrievals from off-road vehicles not made on this earth.
Wait a sec.
Mr. Davis.
It's like, man, when you like to have a beer with Mr. Davis?
Yeah, Mr. Davis sounds like one hell of a dude.
Oh, nothing.
Who now works for Aerospace Corporation, a defense contractor.
Yeah, so basically that just is a fancy way of saying like they basically just a paid gun of the military, right?
Yeah, a classified briefing to a Defense Department agency as recently as March of this year, I guess.
The funny thing about that sentence is what it was about. Oh, just about off-world vehicles not made on this earth.
Off-world vehicles. So this article progressively gets more loose with what they're calling these things. UFO agency, off-world vehicles not made on this earth. Off-world vehicles not made on this earth. Think about that. That's crazy.
No, really, that's like what 1,
That's
2,
insane.
3, 4, 5.
Mr.
6,
Davis
7,
said he also
words.
gave
crazy.
classified briefings on retrievals of unexplained objects to staff members of a Senate Armed Services Committee on October 21st, 2019, and to staff members of the Senate Intelligence Committee 2 days later. Mr. Davis said he also gave classified briefings on retrievals of unidentified or unexplained objects, and he gave them to the armed services and to staff members of the Senate Intelligence Committee 2 days later.
Yeah, what the hell does retrievals mean, man?
I have no idea. Gave classified briefings on retrievals of unexplained objects.
Jeez. On mystery metals.
Of unexplained objects.
Some crazy alien alloy.
Some kind of crazy science. Committee staff members did not respond to requests for comment on the issue. Public fascination with the topic of UFOs has drawn in President Trump, who told his son Donald Trump Jr. in a June interview that he knew very interesting things about Roswell, a city in New Mexico that is central to speculation about the existence of UFOs. The president demurred when he asked if he would declassify any information on Roswell. I'll have to think about that one, he said. Fucking Trump. I'll have to think about that one. Trump could use that for his campaign.
I've got balls of steel.
All right, buddy.
Oh, the addition of the soundboard is amazing.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun. Okay. I'll get better at not doing it annoyingly, too. I hit it once accidentally. Okay, so now let's check out this. So this is, I wanted to include this to make this point that if it's a recovered craft, which again, every part of this is mind-blowing. If it's a recovered craft, though, when you read that sentence, at least to me, it makes my mind immediately think that it's like recovered as a new crash or maybe from Roswell. But I think he's going to make, like, look at the title of this video. Bob Lazar says UFO was an archaeological finding. Maybe this is technology that was found in the, you think of archaeology findings like ancient Egypt. Yeah, like maybe it's an excavation. Maybe it's super old.
Super old.
But still a super advanced technology.
Yeah. Maybe
that civilization, if it was alien or whatever, maybe they were on like a completely different timeline. The Earth is very old, way older than humans. Maybe, like, who knows? So anyways, that's kind of...
Well, if there's things that are unexplained today that existed that long ago, it couldn't have been man-made. They didn't have the technology.
Yep.
You know? Bob Lazar says UFO was an archaeological finding. Joe Rogan. We're going to watch a little Rogan, Dr. Maines?
That was bad timing, man. That's for when my jokes die. But yeah, man, let's do this. So we'll get into a little Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar
Joe
says
Rogan.
UFO was an archeological finding. Okay.
Let's do this.
I watched this full podcast.
Believe it or not, I'm not into UFOs. I don't follow stories or,
Even after your experiences?
No, I'm fascinated with the technology, and I
don't know why that's one sec here.
It irks me like every night I go to sleep that, that it was my own doing essentially that prevented me from continuing on in the project. I mean, it's that to be on that cutting edge of technology is so alluring to me.
Right.
But by the same token, I don't really care that there's aliens or where they come from. I mean, the prize is the technology, and that's what I'm fascinated by. But so I don't listen to UFO stories and that sort of thing. But George Knapp is, he's the guy that has the contacts and tries to thread everything together. And what he recently told me is he found, I don't know, it was either documentation or people that he spoke to. It's that the existence of this project, the project that I was on, it's
So Wilk, on that other alien video I did, he's talking about George Knapp right now, and he's there with another guy named Jeremy Corbell, and the one that I did was Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp on Rogan.
I've heard of Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah, so he's a documentary filmmaker, right? So he's interested in Bob Lazar, and when Bob Lazar originally came out, he kind of did a lot of it on basically an early podcast, but it was a radio show of this guy named George Knapp. So they're kind of they're connected. The video I did before was on the other guy, the two of those three that aren't on camera in this exact frame.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Something that they seem to take out every 8 or 10 years.
So that's a very specific memo, and this is actually, this is the first time I'll be very clear with people about it. It's a big topic of conversation right now. It's called the Wilson Memo. You can look it up.
Is that Jeremy
Admiral
Corbell?
Wilson met with a scientist who's actually was featured in one of my films. Everybody has been debating whether or not this document of a conversation with a sitting admiral at the time is a real document. It's an actual conversation that happened, and this document is real. Everybody wants to know. The world is going crazy right now in the UFO world. I'll tell you straight up right now, I'm in the position to know, and it is a real document. That it is real. So the conversation you read in that conversation was had. I can't attest to every...
You're not being very clear.
Sure.
Please.
No problem. So there is a document that is circulating right now that is really big. It's going around everywhere.
Wilson
People are
document.
asking and wondering.
What is this document?
It's called the Wilson Memo, is how you can find it online. Or the Wilson Leak.
There it is. Jimmy's got it. The Wilson Memorandum. Use of human
2000.
volunteers.
No.
That was it, yeah.
No, that's
Oh,
not
okay,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Admiral Wilson meets with this scientist, and they have this discussion, oddly enough, at special projects at EG&G. And if I remember, the document is from 2001. I'm telling everybody right now, it's real.
2002.
And we'll see. My history is pretty good with saying
June
if something's real or
16th.
not, right? So here we go. The document comes out. They meet at EG&G Special Projects. In 1989, they stumble into a problem. This happens, they put the technology away, and then they bring it back out and see if material science has caught up and if they can make any progress. So this document kind of talks about this process. The big thing I get from it, and a lot of it's vindicating to Bob, and one of the things it's vindicating, besides the EG&G thing, is that private industry, so this guy's an admiral, and he says, I found out about your SAP, your Special Access Program. I need to know about it. And he's going to a private part of industry, and he is denied access. And he says, I should be running this program. And they were able to deny him access. So I think the takeaway here is, check it out. I'm telling you that is an actual correct, that is a leak. Now, everything said in that document, I don't know.
What are you talking about? What is said in that document specifically?
It's between a scientist and an admiral that are sitting, and they're having a meeting, and they're talking about the search for the UFO subject, the search to get special access program access to all of these different things like reverse engineering programs. So in this document, they talk about it. I believe that this document, the person that went was employed by Robert Bigelow, one of the guys that has a couple orbiting satellites and all that stuff.
He's the guy who owns Skinwalker
Yeah, I
Ranch.
was going to say Skinwalker
No, he's not.
Ranch.
He was the guy that owns
Used to own
Skinwalker.
it. Okay.
Yeah, he used to own it. There's a new owner, and I interviewed him for my other film, but there's a new owner, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. But there's stuff that you'll be hearing about Skinwalker Ranch soon because there's a new owner.
There's a TV
Anyway,
show
the whole
about
point
it.
of
That's what he
this
means.
insertion here is just that document kind of validates a lot of this idea Bob just said, that they make a little progress, then they can't go anywhere. They tuck it away, and then they bring it back out, 10 years later and start working on it. What is the limiting factor? I think Bob should speak on this, but it's the material science.
Yeah, it's really where physics is. So I can see them doing that. I mean, I didn't have any information on that, but I think what George uncovered is probably accurate. That we try and do what we can, and once we reach a roadblock going, we really can't figure it out. It's just friggin' wait, put the thing away, wait for science to catch up, and a decade later, let's take the project out again and see. All right, now where can we go?
But there's got to be someone who remains informed, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your scientists like you and Barry. You got your people that you compartmentalize. You got these people working on
Yeah,
this
there
project.
has to be some people
Right.
that know everything.
You've got security, and then someone's going to be on the outside saying, hey, we need people to guard this building. Don't let anybody in for 10 years.
I think a lot of that is private industry, and I think that's how
Really?
they keep it. Yeah, I think that's how they because the government is just so leaky. I think that's kind of what they're doing.
That's what the document kind of proves. You just articulated that it is in control of private industry.
What private industry? Some aerospace company? Something?
I don't know.
Yeah, the admiral wouldn't name it in the car
Right.
in the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously,
So
military-related
they
industries.
still have these things,
Yeah.
supposedly.
I would guess. I mean, I don't have any information on that.
Have you
at all.
ever asked anyone that has any inkling of any idea of where they got them or how they got them?
No, but something must have been said to me. from Barry. But I it was just too long ago, and I can't quite remember what was said, but it just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig.
There's the point right there.
So it's old. At least one of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig.
Whoa.
So that means it's not just old, it's ancient.
That'd be a great Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Right?
As all of it would, yeah.
Yeah, that tripped me out when he said that for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a freak out right there. Just a couple of dudes with some brushes looking for a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone. They hit metal.
And when did they find it? You know, that they have 9 of them.
Yeah.
Well, and how could we have not heard about that? What about the guys with the brushes? How could you uncover something like that? And
Well, Joe's newspaper at home does. I mean, they said it on that first day.
Oh, you mean the Roswell Billy record?
Yeah, the one you told me.
Yeah, I have a cover. What is this here, Jamie?
This is the document, but I had to do some digging to find it.
Yeah, it's just kind of, so this is where they meet at EG&G, and this is Admiral Wilson, and there's a lot more coming out. Now, I want to be clear, George didn't put this out.
I have
He
that
didn't
document on this
leak
computer.
this out to anybody. This is,
I'll show
I can
you.
tell you how
Who
I
recorded this conversation?
So this was an
See how much they go
employee
over it?
of, at the time, Robert Bigelow.
And this is in 2002?
Right. Do you remember when he had that government contract called OSAP the world all knows about now, and he had NIDS that studied the ranch? So that $22 million, everybody is saying it was for ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
We just read that.
The $22 million was for OSAP that was pushed through Congress, 3 congressmen, right, an astronaut. It was pushed through. And that's what that $22 million, by the way, they spend more money on Viagra every year than they do studying UFOs if it was just this program, which I think is funny.
They probably
in the
make a lot
military.
more money from Viagra
They
than
probably do.
from UFOs, too.
Well, you never know how it seeds into population. But anyway, this program, this is what was the mother program. So it got the $22 million. And really, it was to study Skinwalker Ranch. Oddly enough, that $22 million all was inspired by the phenomenon they were seeing at Skinwalker Ranch. Because the
Skinwalker
scientists,
Ranch episode.
they're seeing vehicles come through like a space in the sky.
Yeah, we went there. I went there with Duncan.
Yeah,
we interviewed a bunch of people that seemed full of shit, but a couple that didn't. It was very, very interesting.
Totally. And if you look, I spent a lot of time in the area. I'm not talking about those stories. I'm saying there were scientists hired by the government, right, through Bigelow to study the ranch because they thought it was important. And, whatever. The point is that $22 million was to study that. Then we have ATIP, which is like an auxiliary kind of program of military sightings, like Commander Fravers and that sort of thing. This document is just one of those things that has now come forward that through the Bigelow studies, it was government funded, and then it was personally funded and then government funded. It's just one of those things that kind of shakes you because you got this military guy who can't get access because of the private industry that's holding these non-terrestrial materials, that they can't study it. So that's the claim right now. Give it some time, let people dig more into this. It's fascinating, man.
That's crazy, man. It like turns my brain into shit. That's what it does.
Oh, man. After you said that, I was typing to bring up this other thing, but that would have been a good time for like okay, just one sec here.
Aliens.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to just pull up this document they're talking about.